Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a good one for you this morning, and the price continues to climb like the Energizer Bunny. Boom, boom, boom. Still going up 34.54% on the 7-day and over 15% now on the 24-hour. That's what we're talking about. We're also going to talk about a major investor warning to the economy and the tax structure, and some of it involves cryptocurrency. Coinbase going public next month. That's going to be amazing for the crypto space. We'll get into it. And America's looming bankruptcy. And I tell you this now with all seriousness, I truly believe XRP is the plan. Let's go ahead and roll that beautiful intro. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at @BackupBradley above at the top of the screen and everything that we're talking about here today. Let's go ahead and get into this. 57 cents and climbing. We will keep an eye on it, being above that 47 cent range or price area where we are now past serious resistance, and hopefully we have found some serious support and we continue to march on. I covered a couple days ago how there was a call for a 60% price surge in the works, and if we continue and it follows that trend from the technical analysts that have looked at this stuff, then we could be on our way to an 80 cent or more XRP. Question is, will the price ever return back to where it was? I hope not. Let's go ahead and get into the news. Here we go. So this here is a soft piece from Michael Val 5 Links this morning. Shout out to you, my friend. Microsoft reportedly polling Xbox users about Bitcoin payment option. How about that for mass adoption? Then looking at this, there's still an issue here. According to an analysis from University of Cambridge, 65% of mining power is from China. They're going to have to deal with that some kind of which way when it comes to proof of work. Thank you to Stephen Bull Deet for that one. And this is from XRP Crypto Wolf. Just a reminder to everyone, Coinbase to go public next month. The SEC has been reviewing the exchange's plans for direct listing. This is getting interesting. Now, I want to go to this piece right here because it talks about the arrival of cryptocurrency on Wall Street and how the Coinbase IPO could impact things. And just check some of this out here. It is so bullish. It could impact the crypto ecosystem. There's little doubting that 2021 is going to be a defining year across cryptocurrency ecosystem. Get some of that. It goes in here to talk about also about how the company's shares have been trading on the private auction, NASDAQ auction for private equity between 350 and 375 for shares. We will see what happens when it actually IPOs next month. I would expect that to continue to push higher and higher. I think when it first started listing on NASDAQ, the private equity there, I believe it was over $400 for a period. So we will keep an eye on that. But obviously the attention of a cryptocurrency exchange like Coinbase going public and having access to major institutional investors investing into that company, knowing it is a public company now, is going to be, I believe, very big, not just for Coinbase, but for cryptocurrency. Many, many people are going to want to come into this space and go, so tell me, what is a Bitcoin, right? So this is going to get very interesting very quickly, and I do believe this is going to be an incredible year. However, there are some hurdles in front of us that we want to pay attention to, and leave it to Ray Dalio from Bridgewater to tell us. He warns that government could restrict Bitcoin investments. Now, I covered this the other day, but I feel like it is really, really important to understand what he is saying here. So just let me read to you this and we will move on. Bridgewater's chief investment officer estimates that at current valuations, there is way too much money in these financial assets for it to be a realistic expectation that any significant percentage of that bond money can be turned into cash in exchange for goods and services. He went on to elaborate to say that it has to be accommodated via printing a lot of money and devaluing it and restructuring a lot of debt and government finances, usually including large increases in taxes, which is what is being proposed by the current administration right now. Dalio explained, based both on how things have worked historically and what is happening now, I am confident that tax changes will also play an important role in driving capital flows to different investment assets in different locations. And those movements will influence market movements. Now, I'm not to put words in Ray Dalio's mouth here, but I think people are looking for a hedge, is what he's saying. And they're going to want to move to something like gold, crypto, a la Bitcoin, or something else to try to avoid what is going to come for the overbought derivatives, stocks, and bond market, right? So he goes on to say here, the billionaire fund manager emphasized that if history and logic are to be a guide, policymakers who are short of money will raise taxes and won't like these capital, who are short of money will raise taxes and won't like these capital movements out of debt assets. He's talking about bonds. People fleeing the bond market is a very dangerous conversation, people, because listen, this is important to note for all of us, and I've had to learn it, and if you don't understand it, understand this. The bond market is the backbone of the monetary system. If people flee that for a better hedge or a result somewhere else to too great of a degree, you will collapse the monetary system. Make no mistake about that. It can't be overstated. So with these capital movements out of debt assets like bonds into other storehold wealth assets and other tax domains, warning, they could very well impose prohibitions against capital movements. I cannot talk this morning. Capital movements to other assets, gold and Bitcoin, and other locations. These tax changes could be more shocking than expected. The point being, if we feel as the government that you will move your money from the bond market to something like gold or Bitcoin, we will impose new tax structure and new taxes on those products and in those areas, markets, to deter you from moving your money from the bonds. What do you think about them apples? Well, we're not done. I know, it's a bit of the who invited the good news bears, somebody get them some honey. But the reality is we got to look at what's going on in the whole world. We know that there's been a deliberate shutdown of the economy. There is going to be a pay-to-piper moment for all of this. We don't live on planet Xanadu. At some point, all of this house of cards printing money is going to come crashing to the ground. And here, I'm just showing this as a catalyst to what we're talking about. And this is how big and sad the problem has become to not discuss what's going on. And I just wanted to share this from Neil Patel here. Did you know America is going bankrupt? Most people don't. Maybe the saddest part about our country's state of affairs is that all of the vitriol and dysfunction has come at a time when we aren't even addressing our biggest problems, which is debt and printing money. It would be one thing if America collectively decided to have to be honest about where we are as a country, and we were in the middle of a charged debate about how to fix it. Instead, we're fighting about trivial things while pretty much everyone in the country on all sides of the political spectrum has decided our real problems are so bad, we may as well ignore them. Have you ever had a friend who has some horrible, embarrassing event in their life? The last thing you want to do is mention it. That's America and our debt problem. It's so bad, we don't even talk about it anymore. Well, I'm going to talk about it today. Because the reality is, on one side, on the political side, if you're right, left, or whatever, and you're really deeply steeped in, I watch the news every night and I can yell at the TV and all those things, thinking you're changing the world, well, surprise, you're not. All you're doing is ruining your own life and everybody around you. The truth is that the elite who really control the money and the power of this world have never needed more than 3 tools to tell you what's going on and to control all of us. The first tool, race warfare. class warfare second, and gender warfare third. Now you just apply that to the things that you see out here. Who can use what bathroom? Who's identifying as a giraffe instead of a person? All of these things are a part of the three tools that are always used. When there's an event and there are authorities that actually kill a minority, what do? They just absolutely go crazy with the news of it to push it on there because that is race warfare to try to drive a bigger issue. Not that some of these things aren't very genuine and real, but what do? They overblow all of it so they can keep every one of us divided. And they've never needed more than those three tools to control each and every one of us. It is scary and sad. But the reality is I do think there's a plan. And to turn it back to a brighter side here, the plan, I believe, is XRP. I'm going to walk you through it right now. That's why we saw the Central Bank Digital Currency Policymaker Toolkit from the World Economic Forum cite JPM and XRP for designed intra-bank payments and settlements. Because Ripple has a private ledger built for central banks to launch their CBDCs on, which are central bank digital currencies, digital dollars created by the central banks themselves. The reality here is none of this works if you don't use XRP as a bridge currency between those CBDCs. Well, why is that, Brad? Well, there is no comeback moment without XRP, in my opinion. This is why central banks have created digital dollars to begin with, and this is why they're going to launch them and use them, whether it be wholesale or front end. Think of this. If central banks create digital money and continue to settle between themselves, what did you solve? People will say, oh, well, it's more efficient. Okay, because it's digital, right? But the problem is that there's $12 to $25 trillion locked up in dormant capital around the world, so these central banks can do business on the daily. It doesn't solve the problem. See, in the last crisis, the central banks bailed out the mutual funds and the hedge funds because of the real estate collapse and repackaging bogus loans, right? This time, the crisis is going to be here, but it's due to the printing of the money from a global liquidity crisis we had well before a pandemic got here. And now that's been exacerbated because of that situation. So this time, the crisis is with the central banks, not the investment funds. Don't believe that. It's still true. So the reality is they've come up with the fact that we need to use something like a bridge currency like XRP, because this will allow us to unlock that $12 to $25 trillion out here as dormant capital that we could, for the first time in history, be able to access that money. And that money can be used for them to get out of the hole that they're in instead of continuing to print more money. They would rather have access to the dormant capital that's already there so we can stop the printing. And the only way to do that is to have a CBDC so you can use a bridge currency and you could do the transaction at one time, so there's no need and it will not be necessary for you to pre-fund accounts around the world. Which brings on the lawsuit. Line 82. Ripple also undertook to achieve its goal of widespread distribution of XRP by exchanging XRP for non-cash consideration such as labor and market-making services. The SEC is recognizing, I believe, on line 82, that Ripple achieved that goal by getting many different areas of industry and players in many different areas of industry to hold XRP and to take a position in XRP. So once everyone has their CBDC developed, they will be able to turn to XRP as a bridge currency and begin to unlock that dormant capital, because they will no longer need to pre-fund accounts with cash. That's where we're going. And the phase that we're in is phasing out the retail investor. Like it or not, whether we get to remain or whether we don't, I think the pivot is to pivot away from us and to the institutions, because we don't bring the volume and use case utility to the asset. If we're going to see $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 for this asset, we're going to need the banks to use it. We need everyone to use it, honestly. But that's why we can cite this right here from XRP Crypto Wolf. Ripple executives and former executives have stated that XRP was not designed for retail investors. Ripple executives said that XRP was not designed to pay for a cup of coffee. Instead, it was designed for banks and money service providers. We take it a step further. This is Ryan Zagone on the end, letting everyone know in this particular conference at the Cato Institute the exact same thing.
What a 21st century payment system is going to look like. 10 years is a long time frame. My key lesson from the last 1 year is there is a pivotal shift happening in the crypto space right now. It is a shift from the retail consumer focus into the enterprise space, so financial institutions themselves looking to adopt it, and a pivotal shift in the use case.
There you go. And let's listen to Dilip Rao tell us the same exact thing when he was at Ripple in 2018.
To Dilip, this question comes from the audience. Many people are using cryptos just to buy and sell and make quick gains out of it. Does it hurt the growth of cryptocurrencies, that usage for a quick buck?
So it's kind of chicken and egg. You have to create a marketplace. And right now we have about 150, 200 exchanges around the world that trade in XRP. A lot of it, as you say, is very shallow trading by individuals. And that is not the use case that we are pursuing. What we are pursuing is the use of XRP as a financial asset by sophisticated institutions as a bridging mechanism. So does this hurt or harm? Well, it creates a lot of noise. And we certainly don't want that much noise, but we're waiting. And for example, this last quarter, the bulk of XRP sales were to institutional investors. And as this transitions away from retail to institutions who start to use it for wholesale, financial usage, that's when the turning point will come.
Got it.
And there you go. And then we hear Brad Garlinghouse even say it right here, very adamantly, mind you.
That has expanded a lot as we have brought volume and as we have brought, these institutional flows. We are not, and to be very clear, we are not focused. I've said this a bunch. The consumer speculator is not our target market. Our target.
There we go. Our target market is sophisticated institutions.
Market are financial institutions that we can solve a big problem measured in the trillions of dollars using these technologies.
And there it is. And that's why I believe we are at that turning point. A lot of the stuff was from 2018. We are now in 2021. And this is what we know about Ripple. Ripple pilots a private ledger for central banks launching CBDCs, which doesn't work if it's CBDC to CBDC, because that doesn't unlock the trillions of dollars of dormant capital around the world unless you use XRP. And I believe the SEC understands very clearly that Ripple achieved its goal through non-cash consideration and market-making services with XRP, and it is not a bad thing, and it wasn't illegal either. So the reality is I believe that moment, that turning point is right now, because who is more restricted from the market than they ever have been since the inception of cryptocurrency? It's U.S. retail investors. That's right. Hashtag relist. That's what I'm talking about, and that's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Share with somebody you know and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Make sure you check it out, guys. I Trust Capital, the best gold crypto IRA on the planet, bar none. Make sure you check it out in the description box, and they are trusted, vetted links. I'll catch you on the next one.